She threatened to kill our dogs. Not once, but multiple times. She screamed at us over the fence, harassed my mother, stalked our family. And when that wasn't enough, she used a creepy app to flood our landline with silent phone calls at all hours. But what she didn't know is that we were quietly gathering everything we needed to destroy her reputation, her living situation, and her control over our peace, permanently. If you've ever dealt with a toxic neighbor or had to fight for your right to live in peace, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe for more justice-served tales, and buckle in, because this one ends with eviction, exposure, and a whole lot of karma. Let's rewind. We lived in a quiet little estate. My parents, my siblings, and I shared a lovely home, filled with laughter, love, and 2 incredibly adorable dogs. You know the type, the kind that wag their tails at everything, bark at butterflies, and basically act as our furry doorbells. Across the path from us lived Barbara. Let's just say, if neighborhood drama were a sport, Barbara would have had an Olympic gold. Late 40s, rented a massive 5-bedroom house with her 20-something son, his pregnant girlfriend, their toddler, and enough entitlement to sink a ship. At first, nothing out of the ordinary. We nodded politely when we crossed paths. That's the kind of neighborhood it was. Until the party. Pouting face conflict escalation. 2 to 5:30. It was a sunny Sunday. Barbara hosted a birthday bash for her grandchild. Balloons, music, screaming kids, the usual chaos. No complaints from us. But around 5 p.m., after the party had ended and things quieted down, our dogs heard people walking through the estate and did what dogs do. They barked. Briefly. A few seconds. Max. Then back to normal. We didn't think much of it. Barbara did. The next evening, 7 p.m. sharp. Knock at our door. My mum answered it, smiling. But Barbara wasn't smiling. She claimed she'd been up all night, because our dogs were disturbing the peace. Mind you, we're surrounded by dogs in this estate. Barking is background noise. Still, we took it seriously and made an effort to keep the pups quiet. But Barbara wasn't interested in resolution. She was looking for control. Over the next few days, anytime there was even the slightest noise from our side, laughter, music, or a bark, she'd scream over the fence. Shut those damn dogs up. Can you not be so bloody loud? You lot have no *ing manners. And then, the threat. One day she bellowed over the fence. I swear, I'll come over there and kill those dogs if they don't shut up. That was the moment the energy shifted. We were shocked. We were hurt. But above all, we were angry. Still, we wanted peace. We held back. Until one of my colleagues pulled me aside and said, "Hey, isn't this your mum?" He showed me a post from a local mom's Facebook group. It was Barbara, calling my mum rude and hostile, twisting the story to make herself a victim, painting herself as some saint who politely approached us and was verbally attacked. That's when I commented. I defended my mum, explained our side, respectfully. Barbara replied instantly. Thanks, OP. Now I have your mum's full name. And that, my friends, was the start of a war. Barbara unleashed a full-blown harassment campaign. She began messaging my mum constantly. Weird, threatening texts at all hours. She messaged me, too, accusatory rants about barking, noise, and lack of respect. And then came the creepiest part. One night, our landline rang. No one answered. It rang again. And again. 4 times in a row. We finally picked up. Nothing but silence. It kept happening. At random hours. Every time a dog barked, even if it wasn't ours. Eventually we figured it out. Barbara had downloaded an app that allowed her to call our landline from a private number. Anonymously. Let that sink in. This woman was stalking barking patterns and calling us every time a dog barked. This wasn't neighborly frustration. This was obsession. And that's when we stopped reacting and started planning. Step 1. My parents found out who Barbara's landlord and estate agent were. Turns out, Barbara was already on thin ice. They compiled every incident, every time-stamped message, every landline call, every threat. They showed the real estate agent and filed an official complaint, stating they feared for their safety and their dogs' lives. Step 2. Legal action. A lawyer drafted a formal cease and desist letter. When my sisters tried to hand-deliver it, Barbara slammed the door in their faces. So, the police got involved. Next came a restraining order. My parents had enough documentation to take it to court. Barbara. She didn't even bother to show up. The judge ruled in our favor. Fire climactic payoff. 11 to 1300 hours. But here's the twist. Remember the pregnant girlfriend? She and I used to work together. Out of curiosity, and maybe a bit of strategy, I messaged her. She spilled everything. Barbara had saved a floor plan of our house, collected my parents' contact info, admitted to using the app to harass us, and had been spiraling for weeks. She apologized on Barbara's behalf and gave us even more evidence for the case. That was it. Barbara and her entire family were evicted within weeks. No goodbye. No final scream over the fence. Just gone. The landline finally stopped ringing. And guess what? The new family who moved in became our best friends. Looking back, it wasn't just about the dogs. It was about power, about control, about someone who thought they could bully their way through life and never be held accountable. But this time, they picked the wrong family. Barbara wanted to make us feel powerless. Instead, she lost everything. Moral of the story? Don't mess with good people trying to mind their own business. And for the love of all things fluffy, don't mess with the dogs. If this story gave you chills, or reminded you of that one toxic neighbor you wish you'd stood up to, hit that like button and tell us in the comments. What's the craziest neighbor story you've ever heard? And don't forget to subscribe, because karma, my friends, is always just one story away.